Walker undefeated at 35-0. And this should be entertaining stuff here.
Nevada Walker in the black and red and white striped uniform wearing the green anklet. Joe Delaurier in the blue wearing the red anklet.
Well, Walker has been a jackhammer so far in this particular tournament. A lot of people thought he was one of the co-favorites coming in. He is not disappointed at all, nor has Delaurier for that matter.
Certainly not. Nevada Walker, of course, has remained undefeated. He lost last year's championship to Mike Shingara from Lion Mountain, who we will be seeing at our next title bout. 12-4, but he scored the only offensive points on Shingara all season long at 145 pounds.
Delaurier beat Max Shingara 1-0 in the semifinals. Walker got by 2-1, beating Dave Evans. And Evans out of Mount Carmel, a fabulous football player on their state championship team. And both these guys have seen some tense moments getting here to the final, Jim.
Yeah, Dave Evans from Mount Carmel had placed 4th at 140 pounds last year. Nevada Walker overtime, 2-1. Excuse me, that wasn't overtime, it was just regulation 2-1 score.
Gotta love a name like Nevada Walker, though. Mark, I got to give him put him on our all-name team at this particular point, and he's also backing that name up with a pretty good record at 35-0. Head coach Bob Parker, 94-12 overall.
Yeah, Nevada Walker, he's a tremendous wrestler. He's only a junior out of Commodore Perry. When you're talking about classic names, though, I kind of like Track McCormack, who former state champ and current state champ. He won here moments ago at the Hershey Park Arena at the AA level in 112 pounds. But got a good one going here. Nevada Walker and Joel Delaurier at 145 pounds.
Now Walker with 2 fall. He's won by pin twice getting here. So far we are scoreless. Counting down the final 7 seconds now of this opening period, and the championship at 145.
At last year's championships, Delaurier beat Dave Evans. There's a stalling point, or excuse me, a stalling warning on Nevada Walker.
Delaurier, he's very intense. He's going to come out of the bottom. We just saw his face. He didn't like that stall call, and he turned his back.
He has been intense the entire tournament.
One thing that's great about this tournament, and I want to make sure we definitely accentuate this point, is the sportsmanship that's been shown throughout this particular tournament. Emotions are running high. The stakes are certainly high. And everybody has shown the utmost respect. And it is what you should, again, with this event of its kind. Being, I think, the premier scholastic event of its kind in the country. There's Delaurier. You can really see the intensity building a little bit as he takes a 1-0 lead with the escape.
I spoke with Bob Craig before the semifinals in the AA tournament this morning, and he mentioned to me that a representative from the AAU was here to see this tournament, and his comment was that Pennsylvania State High School Wrestling Championships are one of only 3 championships that are run like this in the country. And he felt that this one was by far the best run tournament in the nation.
There isn't a college coach any part of the country that'll tell you that some of the best talent runs through Chocolate Town, and all of a sudden,
2-point takedown.
Delaurier, you could really see him trying to build his own momentum mentally, and it's finally beginning to pay off. Gets a 2-point takedown and a 3-0 lead as we go to 51 seconds to go in the second period. And again, it's a psych job, and you have to really dig down when you're this far into the match and this far into the weekend.
Nevada Walker, good on his feet, but Joel Delaurier, he has got the look of intensity about him.
Set, stop, man.
He's all business right now. Not that Walker's not, but Delaurier is a little more animated about it. Sean Delaurier's dad is over on the side coaching.
Near cradle.
Nevada
Walker did a nice job keeping hand control to keep himself from getting in trouble. Now,
dangerous move.
Potentially dangerous move.
Oh, and he's hurt too. Oh my. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that again, but this is one of the reasons why the officials call the dangerous move, and again, why there is just a slew, a host of medical people all over this particular tournament. Here it is again, and you've only got one leg going. Jim, take it away.
Delarier's got Walker's leg up, and he sweeps the other one, and of course, he comes down on top of Nevada Walker, just adding a little bit of extra pressure onto that hip when he hit the mat.
That was really, really tough. And, you know, the intensity of it.
Sweeping the leg, brings it up. Now he's lifting it up high just to keep Nevada Walker reeling backwards. Gets an underhook, steps in front, sweeps the leg, and down they come. And watch right on top of it.
Boy, that is tough. Let's go over to Mark Shuey. Mark, you know, and one thing that we have raved about in any, not only PIAA event, but just any high school event you and I have covered over the years, is just the advancement that we've seen of the technology that's available to these young athletes, be it mat side, field side, or court side.
No question about it. And you see the crack medical staff here getting Nevada Walker up and ready to go and continue the match. It was a gruesome type of injury, but Nevada Walker is back and ready to go, thanks in part to the medical staff here at the Hershey Park Arena.
Boy, Walker gets pounded again onto the mat there. Joel Delorier has just been intense.
He has been intense. He's got to be careful about a possible slam call. Now, he's allowed to pick his opponent up, but he can't do it too hard. And that was the exact same move that Nevada Walker got injured on just a few seconds ago. But, of course, he did it a little bit more gently, just so he wouldn't get himself in trouble with a slam call.
3-0 the score.
Delorier has got such tremendous stamina. He does not run out of gas.
That'll end the period.
Green, your choice. Green chooses
And you
bottom.
can see him walking around the mat. He is ready to go.
Well, Sean Delorier telling his brother Joel,
Stop, man.
got
Take your
one
step.
more period. Let's do it. Mark?
Delorier, assistant coach of Joel, and Joel Delorier is trying to use every muscle in his body to win a state title. Unfortunately, his father, his #1 fan, he does not have the use of his legs, but he is mat side, and he's cheering on Joel Delorier in his wheelchair. He's very active in veteran affairs. Mr. Delorier, the #1 fan, and very active part of the community.
Well, Burrell has been a program that has just been making humongous gains in District 7. They are just pumping out great athletes and getting to the title rounds and a lot of team sports as well. Well, Nevada Walker, he needs to get on the rally cap and get things moving, Jim. Trailing 3-0, but he has plenty of time for now at 1:30 to go in the final period at 1:45.
And that ties it up in a hurry. He's got that to escape and another takedown.
You sense something. Bob Parker telling to shake off that injury. He took a big fall when he had the leg kicked out. Here's Walker in control now, tied at 3.
Nevada Walker has Delorier's arm pinned around behind him with a body weight on top of it.
So many turns. So many things can happen to you in such a hurry. There's your time remaining in the match for the championship at 1:45. Center stage, nervous anticipation among this crowd.
Remember that stalling call. The stalling call could loom large here in the final seconds of this third period.
Delorier, he's going to try and maybe ride something out. Down to 30 seconds to go.
And stalling. Stalling called on Joe Delorier.
Tell you what, I like the way Walker has got that arm in control a little bit. He's just taken over in this match.
Yeah, he's really frustrated, Delorier. Delorier with a sit-out. 4-3, Delorier ahead. 13 seconds left. And again, that stalling call.
There they are, state championship on the line. Walker trying to make a move. They're on their feet at the arena, nervous anticipation. Delorier is going to hang on, did he? Where are the points coming from? It's over. Oh, my goodness. What a rough finish that was.
Good job.
The emotions.
Congratulations.
Walker and Delorier, and boy, that was something else, Jim.
Joe Delorier did what it took to beat two-time finalist Nevada Walker. Of course, Nevada Walker, only a sophomore or a junior. He will have next year, but he's going to have an awful lot of time to think about the closing seconds of that 145-pound final.
Joel Delorier has just enough to hang on at the finish, and there was the final seconds. Delorier by 1 over Nevada Walker, 4-3. So Burrow has a state champion out of District 7. Let's go to 140, where Joe Henson, standing tall out of Hanover. He's got a twin brother who's going to wrestle a little bit later. Ends his career, or ends his year at 37-0, ends his career 2 times. State champ at 140, Jim. Let's go to 152 pounds. Line Mountain is one of the great programs we're going to talk about. Ron Buddick, head coach over there. Mike Shingara, hammer. Senior, 35-1, 140-4 overall. Warren Stout, he's at a District 9 senior from Brookville, and Shingara is unreal.
Mike Shingara has, well, you can see it on your screen. He's got some tremendous upper body strength, and he knows how to use it well.
Shingara, he has the green anklet. Stout with the red. Championship here at 152. Shingara won it at 145 a year ago.
Mike Shingara, you'll notice, Jed, does have a loss this year, believe it or not. That's the first one in a couple of years for him. He lost to AAA champ Brian Burrows from Hempfield, District 7, 9-7 in the Mid-Atlantic Holiday Tournament in Delaware State. And what an epic battle that must have been.
Sounds like some decent action from here. Underneath a minute to go in the opening period. Well, if you're Stout, you come in against a much ballyhooed opponent. I guess what your main goal is, just hang around, and look to maybe spring a move later on. You know, I mean, Shingara is no secret heading into this thing.
Well, the good thing that you have to think about is Warren Stout really has nothing to lose. There's probably not an awful lot of guys in this gymnasium that feel that he can really stay with Mike Shingara with his quickness, and there you go with the upper body strength.
Shingara on the bottom, Stout. Or rather, Shingara, he's the one in control. I got them confused momentarily. My mistake.
One of the things that Mike Shingara is so good at is taking his opponents down to the back. He gets in with big duck unders and lifts, and he gets in positions where his opponents get in a lot of trouble, and all he's got to do is put a half Nelson in and turn him over for some back points.
I don't know how this guy checks in at 152, looking at him up close. TV, I think everybody's probably asking the same thing. Mark Shuey, I mean, 152? I mean, really? Looks like 252 from here.
Well, these guys are stuck together, and you can see, I mean, guys don't get bodies like this by accident. A lot of training, a lot of dedication goes into to working to this level, and once you get to this level at the Hershey Park Arena, we like to say it in every sport, but there really are no losers. These guys are all champions, and as they came out and were introduced prior to the match, they call it the Parade of Champions, and each and every one of these wrestlers here today are truly champions.
Well, Shingara with a 5-0 lead in total control of this match to the left of your screen. That's a cool-looking singlet he's got. I like the color scheme they've got up there at Line Mountain.
Mike Shingara back in 1994 lost in the finals at this tournament to Chris Marshall from Biglerville, District 3. Of course, Chris Marshall has distinguished himself at Clarion University for the college wrestling scene.
Then you talk dual meets. Now you're really into some major events in the middleweights and everything else, and this is why Line Mountain has done so well in dual meet situations over the years, is their ability, one, if you lose early, you have the ability to kind of make some noise, and what better way to go than hang your hat on a guy like Mike Shingara here.
Yeah, Max Shingara Mike's younger brother made it into the semifinals in the tournament before losing and going down into the consolation brackets. So they do have a strong, strong middleweight lineup at Line Mountain High.
Well, wrestling and family ties do come together. We were talking about the Hughes twins. We've got the Henson twins in AA, and the Shingara brothers. It's just amazing how many have come through over the years here in Hershey. This parade of champions, not only in AA, but AAA as well.
One thing to mention about Mike Shingara's brother, Max Shingara, last year he had a tumor removed from his knee, and he did not compete or complete his 1996 season at the end of the year. Warren Stout from Brookville, District 9, of course, is no slouch either. He placed second in the state at 135 pounds in last year's state championship, so he is no stranger to the finals either.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, Stout is a fabulous wrestler, and we didn't mean to get him lost in the mail with Brookville. Len Ferraro, his coach, he's 30-4, trailing 5-0. I mean, he's got to start rallying here, no question about it, and that's, I guess, the tough thing. A guy like Shingara is almost impossible to rally against unless you can maybe get that once-in-a-lifetime move and combination together.
Well, Mike Shingara does not make a lot of mistakes, and unfortunately, when he does, he's got a lot of strength to get himself out of them. So Warren Stout has really got his work cut out for him. Warren Stout lost that final back in 1996 at 135 pounds, 3-2 to Jack Rice from Cranberry High School, District 10. So he has lost a heartbreak match in the finals, and he's never tangled with Mike Shingara to my knowledge, but he's got his work cut out for him tonight.
Let's check in Matt's side with Mark Shuey. Mark?
Right now, Mike Shingara's injury clock is running. What happened midway through the second period, Shingara, his head hit the mat very hard, and he got up and he thought initially that his nose was bleeding. He checked the mat. He wanted to make sure his nose was not bleeding. He checked his nose. He did not suffer a bloody nose, but right now Mike Shingara is just using a little bit of his injury clock to get his bearings straight. He took a hard fall, most of it on his head midway through that second period, finished the second period, but now he's just going to chew up a little bit of that injury clock right now before he enters the third period, leading Warren Stout 5-0.
And again, there is somewhat of a time limit on those. If there is a bleeder one way or another. You were telling us about, Jim, before we hit air today.
The new rules instituted this year, there are 5 minutes total allowed for a bleeding injury or injuries during a wrestling match. That 5 minutes during the bleeding time does not count towards the 2-minute normal injury time that a wrestler would be able to take in each match.
Boy, Stout trying to go in for that single leg, and Shingara just locked his arm up. I mean, it was like a brick wall.
Stout saw the opening and went for it, but Shingara, again, with that upper body strength, can get himself out of a jam.
Is he as well-developed an upper body as you've seen at the AA level in a while, Jim?
He's probably the most powerful wrestler that I've seen in a long, long time.
I mean, he has what Joe Paterno refers to with offensive linemen as kind of like shock. It's like a boom.
Yeah.
And he's got that kind of look and that kind of feel, especially, you know, when you really get up close like we are right now. Now you get a close-in look. Means you might as well go play out in traffic if you're you or me. No thanks. Tough customer there. And again, the champ, defending champ at 145, looking to strike gold now at 152, in total control of this match, and has been since putting on the takedown move early on.
Warren Stout has been up in weight during the season. There's a stalling warning against Mike Shingara. But Warren Stout wrestled 160 pounds against Bald Eagle area and lost 11-2 to Dave Surovec, Bald Eagle area, District 6, during the season, and of course has dropped down to 52 pounds for this state championship.
5-0 the score, and looks like Shingara is just going to roll this one right through. State champ again as he just dominant from start to finish.
Mike Shingara got that big move early on, and he's made it last.
Hang on. Good match. Good job,
5-0.
Good job.
Well, Mike Shingara, nothing fancy about that. Another workmanlike effort. And again, Jim, you mentioned the fact he just does not make mistakes. Stout tried to put the one move on, and I think psychologically took Stout right out of the picture when he just a brick wall.
Yeah, and you got to give Stout credit. He saw that opportunity present itself, and he went for it. And, of course, Shingara, again, upper body strength got him out of that tight spot.
Let's go to 145. Again, this was a very emotional match. There really wasn't a winner. There was a survivor, and the survivor winning goal, Joe Delaurier. Out of Pearl, he's a senior. Nevada Walker, though, put up a heck of a fight and was just a couple of seconds away from putting a move together to maybe stand right now where Delaurier is.
Nevada Walker, only a junior. He will be back next year, but Joel Delaurier, Mr. Intensity, he's our champ at 145 pounds.
To 160 pounds we go. Josh Henson, District 3. He's a senior from Hanover. 37-1 on the season. He goes up against junior Kevin Brown at a District 10's Jamestown, 37-0. Stan Skikolsky is the head coach over at Jamestown, and each of these are a pair of 100-win fellas, century marks. This should be tense and taut at 160.
Well, this will be a big bout. Kevin Brown from Jamestown has looked outstanding qualifying for this finals. Josh Henson struggled a little bit, but he did avenge a loss earlier in the season. He's got one loss, and that was to Josh Weidman from Hershey, South Central District 3. Weidman and Henson wrestled each other in the semifinals, and Henson avenged that loss 6-5. Weidman stayed on to place third at this weight, but Henson is the one who's in the finals.
Yeah, District 3 had a good showing in this tournament, but it did not push a ton of people through into the finals, although they are well represented.
Josh Henson, of course, in the orange uniform with the green anklet. Kevin Brown in the purple and gold with the red anklet.
Okay, Conover back center stage again. Well, the Benson, the Hughes brothers, the Hughes twins out of Benton are the last to win it. Jim was mentioning 4 sets. And earlier today, Joe Henson at 140 was a 5-2 winner against Frank Piff.
Kevin Brown from Jamestown. His high school has only one state champ in previous tournaments. That was Tim Alt just a couple of years ago, back in 1995 at 145 pounds.
Hanson to the left of your screen in the orange and the black. Been a total of 96 champions statewide from District 10.
Kevin Brown won his 100th career victory in his semifinal bout against Mark Rebuck from Line Mountain. Mark Rebuck, of course, ranked 5th in the state, took 6th in the state last year at 160 pounds. Kevin Brown ranked 1st in the state from Jamestown, defeated him 5-3 to get that 100th career win to make it into this finals against Joe Henson from Hanover.
We got a stall or our first point awarded? Looks like a stalling. Nope, no stall warning. Just must have stepped out of bounds.
Both of these wrestlers have done very well on their feet. The thing that saved the day for Josh Henson against Josh Weidman from Hershey in that semifinal bout, where he avenged his earlier loss last week in the qualifying tournament at South Central Regionals, was the fact that he did get an early takedown, which set the tone, and Weidman could not come back.
Coming up from the bottom is going to be Kevin Brown. Let's go to Mark Shuey. Mark, it's kind of quiet here in Hershey Park Arena.
Well, if you can squeeze 8,000 people into a building and call it quiet, I guess, yeah, quiet is the word. scoreless first period. Of course, we're into the scoreless second period as well between Henson and his opponent, Kevin Brown of Jamestown. You know, Josh Henson, his twin brother, Joe, won earlier at 140 pounds, and Terry Conover, he's now at the other side of the mat, trying to bring home a second state title for Hanover in one day, as Josh Henson is tangling at 160 pounds with Kevin Brown.
Right now, Brown with just a 1-0 lead, what has been a low-scoring affair. And again, Jim, we mentioned just the psychological advantage of the first big move, maybe the first big score.
With only a 1-point advantage, Brown's got to be looking for a takedown. And, of course, Henson, he's good on his feet, too.
Terry Conover yelling out instructions. Ooh, almost lost his balance. He just did hang on. Henson, otherwise he was headed towards his back and the meter running maybe. Let's go to Mark. Mark?
We mentioned the Hershey Park Arena once again, and it's a beautiful arena. It's just over 60 years old, and last week, 35 years ago last week, one of the great sporting events of all time took place here when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a basketball game. That did not happen in Philadelphia or New York, as the Philadelphia Warriors were playing the New York Knicks. That happened right here in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's a great building, and you know, the old girl has seen a lot of events over the years, and as a matter of fact, I was told by one of the Hershey employees that even Elvis had signed to play here. However, he had died moments after the contract arrived at the Hershey Park Arena.
By the way, that Wilt Chamberlain game you're referring to, more than 3,000 people were here, and 1 million said they were. There were only 3,200 people in the house. Back to the business at hand with scant seconds remaining in the second period of play. Kevin Brown holding that 1-0 lead. It's anybody's ball game right here, Jim.
It sure is. And Henson, of course, he'll get his choice in the third period. He's going to take down, try to get that 1-point escape to tie things up 1-1.
You know you've got that in the bank. Heading into the final period, at least maybe a point at the worst, as we head to the final period to decide the championship at 160.
Blood on green.
And here we go with another stoppage in play, and they'll start the stopwatch.
I was talking to Dr. John Hosage, who is the head rules interpreter for the officials here at the PIAA state championships, and I had some clarifying questions to ask him about the injury time. And I asked him if a wrestler had a hurt knee and a bloody nose at the same time, what would happen?
7 minutes? No.
And the comment was that apparently they would run the 5-minute clock for bleeding, and as soon as the bleeding was stopped, then they would start the 2-minute injury time for the other injury that didn't involve any bleeding.
Let's go to Mark. Mark?
Yeah, that brief injury to Josh Henson, merely a brush burn right above his eye. The referee saw that it had been discolored a little bit. He wanted to double check, make sure it wasn't bleeding, and that is merely what happened to Josh Henson. The referees are right on top of the situation.
Ooh, no points because he was out of bounds.
Just a quick word about out of bounds. Another injury stoppage for blood.
More, and that's going to continue the meter a little bit. Both took a tumble there.
Quick word about the out of bounds. A lot of fans a little unsure as far as how the referees figure out whether people are in or out of bounds. And my interpretation of the rules is that one supporting point of each wrestler must be out of bounds for the wrestling to be stopped. So theoretically, one wrestler could be completely out of bounds, and one wrestler could be completely in bounds, and the wrestling should continue.
Want to remind you that this broadcast is underwritten in part by the dairy farmers of the Pennsylvania Dairy Promotion Program, who remind you that your body needs strong muscles, steady nerves, and quick energy to compete in today's athletics. Your body needs the right fuel. Got milk? Well, you heard us alluding to the Hershey Park Arena earlier as being the home of Will Chamberlain's 100th point. It's also the home of every gold medalist in figure skating in the last 50 years as well. They have all skated here in Hershey at one time or another. And now the intensity goes as we go out of bounds on the other side.
And you notice that Henson has really turned the juice up a little bit. Kevin Brown weathered the storm all the way to the edge of the mat.
In the final period, tied at 1. Josh Henson, his twin brothers already won gold at 140. Joe Henson, he's trying to complete the double here for the Henson family out of Hanover, Pennsylvania in District 3.
Josh Henson lost in last year's championships to Mike Shingara 10-4 in the semifinal round, but he placed third at 145 pounds.
There they are, locking it up. Everybody lunging, grabbing, clawing for an advantage at this particular point.
Both wrestlers looking for any opportunity to score points. I don't think either one of these guys wants to go into overtime with a minute left. And you can see Joe Henson take a quick look at his coach, Terry Conover.
Well, again, you're playing very conservative at this point. You're almost playing not to lose, but there's just so much at stake right now. We mentioned, there's your score. Kevin Brown trying to get those arms locked and maybe turn them over, Jim.
Right on the edge of the mat.
Out of bounds goes Henson to buy more time and go back to the center now.
Now these guys will turn it up a little bit here. It's in the last closing seconds of this third period.
Here comes the flurry as we come to the 10-second mark to go in the match. Looks like they're going to ride this out. Looks like we're going overtime here, Jim, at 160. And that's exactly what's going on. And they don't waste any time getting you there.
There's no break in between the regulation match.
Done. First score wins.
Any warnings, stall warnings or penalties, they all carry over. This is just an extension of the regular match.
I guess only hockey has a more heartless ending in overtime for the loser, I think. I mean, boom, it's done. First score. There's just nothing subtle about that. Henson, footwork. I mean, it's all on the table right now. We are in overtime.
Keep working.
Henson gets out of bounds.
Keep working. In the center.
Neither one of these wrestlers wants to get called for stalling, of course, in this overtime period.
You hate to see some end on a stall call. I mean, you'd like to see a move made to get that done. Well, we're 45 seconds into overtime now and still have not determined a winner at 160 pounds. Kevin Brown and Josh Henson locked up like rams, and Henson gets out of bounds again.
And really, neither one of these wrestlers has even come close to taking the other wrestler down.
And this is a true stalemate right here. Brown going under, Henson looking to score. Henson trying to get around out of bounds. Inches away, Henson was. Sorry, Jim.
Kevin Brown knew that he was in a little bit of trouble. Did the right thing, being right on the edge of the mat.
Going for the single leg, Henson. Looks like they're going to step out of bounds again. 47 seconds left in overtime. Brown trying to go for the single leg. Henson trying to pin him around. Crowd beginning to get a little edgy as well.
Both of the Henson brothers do a very nice job of blocking the arm of their opponent and just spinning around behind.
A lengthy overtime. I mean, to think 1 point wins it. They'll come from a neutral position from here on out. At stake, the state championship at 160 pounds. Josh Benson to your right, Kevin Brown to your left. Locked up with that much time remaining in overtime. Tied at 1-1.
At the end of this 2-minute overtime period, they will flip that coin. The winner will get his choice of top or bottom.
The Hanover contingent knows their man comes from the down position now. That's the one where you can score.
Brown did not hold Henson down in the third period. He's going to have 30 seconds to do it in this double overtime period, and it is sudden death. If Henson gets out, he's the winner. If Brown can hold him down, he's declared the winner.
Nothing real subtle about that, is there, Jim? I mean, that's mono against mono.
Absolutely. I think it has added a tremendous dimension to wrestling in these tournaments.
This is a shootout like in soccer here. Here we go. They come to their feet here at the arena.
One of the differences in this match, in this 30-second period, is
Henson has won it in double overtime by a final of 2-1.
I was just about to say that one of the differences in that 30-second overtime is that the intent of the top wrestler is really just to hang on, and stalling generally is not called for just sort of wrapping your opponent up and hanging on.
Let's go to the award ceremony at 152 pounds. Mike Shingara, the champion, with a workmanlike and convincing 5-0 win against Warren Stout. This is one of the better guys we've seen, and I think a real threat to be best wrestler at the AA level here.
I think that Mike Shingara is the type of guy with the skills that he has and the strength that he can put behind his moves. He's the kind of guy that will excel at the college level. There's got to be some big-time scouts looking at him.
Let's go to the championship now at 171 from Mount Carmel, Steve Sinkovich. He is a sophomore. And he is 27-3. Bucky McCollum's his coach. Tony Ocello, the coach at Palisade. Andrew Pavensky.
Steve Sinkovich early on with a half Nelson. He's already got 2 points for a takedown. He's going to get at least 2 back points. Andrew Pavensky, he's fighting for his life here. This is a bad position to be in early on in the first period.
Trying to turn him around. Sinkovich, Mount Carmel, the Red Tornadoes, the state champion in football. Like Sinkovich. Good move by Pavensky to get on his back. I mean, Pavensky's undefeated in here at 36-0. He's the senior out of Palisades.
Steve Sinkovich, only a 10th grader, has shown tremendous poise at this tournament. He won his semifinal match against Kyle Sweppenheiser from Line Mountain, tough Line Mountain people, 6-5.
Sinkovich will give up the 1-point escape. In control of this match now, 5-1.
Sinkovich was a star football player on that AA state championship team for Mount Carmel.
Blocked for 2,000-yard ground gainer, and Brett Veach, who's on his way to the University of Delaware. Sinkovich, again, part of another great underclass group at Mount Carmel.
Pavensky, a 2-point takedown. He knows he's still down by 3.
Well, again, Mark, the one thing you notice, we were talking about, boy, the younger weights, the lighter weights, rather, boy, they look thick. But the one thing, I guess, as we move to the heavier portion is how good an athlete these guys are and how fluid they are of motion.
Well, that's right. They not only are much bigger than the lighter weights, and use a lot more muscle. But these guys, I don't think, get enough credit for the style that they use in trying various moves and various combinations as the first period ends with the score 5-3. Sinkovich of Mount Carmel on top.
I think Pavensky weathered a storm there, Jim. He's only down 5-3, and I mean, it didn't get off to a great start. Didn't even look like he'd make it this far, the way Sinkovich turned on him early.
And I'd be willing to bet with a record of 36-0, Andrew Pavensky doesn't spend an awful lot of time on his back. So he did a nice job getting himself out of trouble.
Probably a different view of the house is what you're saying?
Oh, you bet. Andy Pavensky from Palisades. Last year's state championships, he came in as a Southeastern runner-up in that qualifying tournament. He lost his preliminary bout to Dirk Tedrow from West Green, District 7, and did not place last year.
Sinkovich in a little bit of a vice.
Well, Pavensky's up a little bit too high. Steve Sinkovich is trying to come out the back door.
Stalemate called. Some of the crowd thought they should have continued. Looked to be a stalemate from here, but it doesn't matter what you blow sometimes out of that whistle. Some of the house is not going to approve.
Well, you can count on somebody not liking almost every call you make. Pavensky's got a good cradle wrapped up. He's got to be careful not to try too hard to turn him over. And here we go. He's going to get back points for this.
All of a sudden, here he comes. And Andrew Pavensky.
Sinkovich, a 10th grader, is in deep, deep trouble.
He's trying to turn it over for the pin a little bit. He'll get a full 5 value on this, it looks like.
And that's it.
He's got him. It's over. Oh, my goodness. Pavensky nails him down with 44 seconds to go in the second period. That's an impressive comeback, Jim. He's down 5-0, and he kept working it, and we'll let you take this one home.
Well, Steve Sinkovich got in deep, deep trouble when Andrew Pavensky put that cradle on him. And always remember that Sinkovich is a 10th grader. Unusual for a 10th grader to be up at the higher weight classes in these state finals. Andrew Pavensky with a tough, tough cradle in Steve Sinkovich.
Champions at 160, and we'll bring Mark Shuey in for this because we've got twin winners today. Josh Henson wins out of Hanover, and earlier in the day, Joe Henson at 140.
Yeah, that's right. The twin brothers from Hanover, Terry Conover's great Hanover team. 2 more state titleists, Josh and Joe Henson. Also, Mike Shingara, another state title for the Line Mountain great, as well as Pratt McCormack, a multi-state title winner as well. He won at 119, so it's been a great day for some of the great wrestlers in this state's history.
Let's go to a 189. Jeff Yore out of Upper Dauphin in District 3. He's a junior. Dave Barter's his coach, undefeated at 34-0 out of Bald Eagle Nittany. What a program they are out of District 6. Sean Weaver, 41-1. A much anticipated matchup here.
Now, this is a big-time final. Both these guys are rock'em sock'em wrestlers. Jeff Ure is in the green anklet, black uniform with the red emblem on his back. Sean Weaver from Bald Eagle Nittany is in the black uniform with the white stripe and the red anklet. One of the things worth noting, I was just about to say that in his first 25 bouts, Jeff Ure's only given up points for escapes. No offensive points were scored against him this season in his first 25 bouts. And just before I utter those words, Sean Weaver makes a liar out of me with a 2-point takedown.
Jeff Ure had to go overtime to take out Brad Krebs of Schuylkill Valley, 11-9. In a, as you would say, a rock'em sock'em semifinal.
Got the takedown with 11 seconds left in that match to tie it 9-9. Went into overtime and got a takedown 35 seconds into that overtime period to win 11-9 in his semifinal bout against Brad Krebs from Schuylkill Valley, District 3.
This is a program, as you mentioned, as we mentioned during the Trapp McCormick match at 112, that it was consolidated between last year and this year with Sugar Valley. And, boy, there are some big-time powers in wrestling in District 6. It's up near the State College in that market. For a lot of people watching statewide that's wondering District 6 and where some of that is nearby.
Reset, right on. Sean Weaver has over 30 true falls this year.
Well, some of the numbers are a bit gaudy with some of your finalists. So you get in this far and you make this tournament. 30 falls plus. Just one loss, John Walliser.
Still down. Green,
Biff Walliser, he was a big-time look here in this tournament a few years ago. And
two-time state champ, an exceptional college wrestler at Penn State University. Biff Walliser won at 1992 and 1993's championships.
well, you know how they say, Mark, John Fritz doesn't have to waste much gas finding some pretty good talent for Penn State, and they don't really have to waste much gas either in the Eastern Wrestling track as well, with Clarion, Lehigh, and all of them.
Oh, that's right. I mean, not only is Pennsylvania known as one of the best wrestling states at the high school level, but once you get up into the collegiate level, you've got Lock Haven, Bloomsburg, like you said, Clarion, and of course Penn State. Those are some of the best wrestling programs in the entire nation. So Pennsylvania, probably the best wrestling state in the entire country.
I guess that's a good question to ask as we, look at this at 189 with a 2-0 lead for Weaver. Penn State going into the Big Ten, the Iowas, the Minnesotas, Wisconsins going into the East, with all the Eastern thing. Is this as good an area to live around as you're a wrestling fan on all levels?
Oh, I think so, definitely. In particular this year, Lock Haven has a good team. Clarion is an outstanding team this year. Edinburgh has a phenomenal team.
Would like to remind you about one of our underwriters, and that's our good friends with the Hershey and Entertainment and Resort Company. And everybody is talking about it. It's a new professional outdoor soccer team, the Hershey Wildcats, playing professional outdoor soccer in the Hershey Park Stadium. Hershey Wildcats are affordable family entertainment. Hershey Wildcats. Call now. Their ticket office, if you're in the Hershey area to see Hershey Park, they'll be available all summer. They've got plans as well. Area code 717-534-3911. Again, that's 534-3911. 717 area code as part of their Destination Hershey project, the Wildcats Outdoor Soccer. Well, what's your thinking here at 189, Jim, as we start a fresh 3? Jeff Yore hasn't really done a lot, but he's far from out of it. I mean, again, anybody's ball game with a 2-0 lead.
Oh, Sean Weaver.
More now.
Sean Weaver has an escape to make it 3-0. Jeff Yore's got to get it in gear. He's got to get a takedown. He's got to shift momentum. He's got to get some points on the board. Sean Weaver, of course, right on the edge of the mat. You can hear the crowd. Oh, they're going to give him 2 points.
That does not go over well.
Right on the edge of the mat. That's a judgment call on the referee. And again, remember, supporting points. One wrestler can be totally out of bounds. One wrestler can be totally inbounds. And the wrestling should be continuing.
There they are. That little flurry woke the crowd up a little bit, got them back into things.
And Yore's right back in this match. 3-2.
About $1:15 left here in the second period.
Yore's got a very high half Nelson. He's got to be careful he doesn't get too high. And Sean Weaver, of course, spins around and gets back out for an escape.
That's 2-point value there and a 4-2, so we're getting a lot more points now. Mark, there's nothing like the big guys starting to rumble that wakes the corridors up here at the arena, is there?
Oh, that's for sure. And these guys are big. You mentioned about the physique of these wrestlers, especially when you get into the upper weights. The body fat is very low on these guys. And like I said earlier, that doesn't come by accident. These are very dedicated athletes. And I mentioned earlier, the average GPA, grade point average, of all these state finalists is 3.1. So they take that dedication from the wrestling mats into the classrooms as well.
Well, this tournament, again, certainly not lacking in interest from a fan standpoint. The AA final today, 7,311. The total attendance just in AA is 25,945. Wow. What can you say about that, Mark?
That's an incredible amount, and I'll tell you what.
And in AAA boys in here yet, have we?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Wait till the AAA gang comes in here tonight. This place will be passed from floor to rafters.
I want to mention their co-head coaches that they're pointing out to us, and that is Dave Barter, who we mentioned at the outset for Jeff Yore, and Bob Krabs also. Well, Yore is still very much alive. He had that one flurry, but that's good enough to keep him around the hunt as we go down the stretch with 2 minutes to go. Mark?
Speaking of head coaches, I just spoke with Hanover's legendary head coach, Terry Conover, who just saw 2 state titleists win championships for Hanover in Josh Weaver, rather, and his brother, Joe. Anyway, Josh, he told me, has practiced just once. Josh Henson, rather, has practiced just once in the last 3 weeks. He's been plagued by muscle spasms. He has not been in good shape, but he gets off the mat, comes in, and wins a state title after practicing just once in the last 3 weeks. Josh Hanson.
The escape for Yore out of Upper-Dauphin in District 3. District 3 with a pair of Hensons as their gold medalists today at 140 and 160 respectively, and now the crowd beginning to get into it, Jim.
Yore got in on a low single leg and sort of bent Sean Weaver's knee around a little bit. The referee stopping it as a potentially dangerous situation. The crowd didn't like that call because, of course, that low single leg is a deadly, deadly move, and Sean Weaver could have been in a lot of trouble.
4-3 is the score.
Okay.
Sean Weaver with the injury timeout will shake that off. I have to be missing the appendage, I think, with a 1-point lead in the final period at 189 with a gold medal at stake. I think to keep him out.
You're going out there, believe it or not.
I mean, you're going to take him off the mat physically.
One wrestler in AAA, it was 150.
We saw a heavyweight match a few years ago where they almost had to drag the poor young man off.
Chris Haynes from Gettysburg in AAA, his matches became hard to watch. He was in such pain and agony. I was kind of glad when he finally got eliminated from the tournament so he didn't have to watch him anymore.
You're back in red, stay in.
Minute 8 seconds to go.
It was a stalling call.
Sean Weaver leading by the slimmest of margins at 4-3. There hadn't been any blowouts today in AA.
Every match has been very, very close.
Which you would expect. Crowd really wants these guys to flurry. I mean, can't you see? You can just feel it. Referee steps in. Dangerous situation.
Remember the stalling call. Could make a big, big difference with 40 seconds left in the final period.
There have been stalling calls that have created overtime. Stalling calls that have meant the difference between gold and silver, as Jim has pointed out over and over again. There's one in the bank to refer to. You're trying to come out of the bottom.
Duck under. Again, right on the edge of the mat, and Sean Weaver does a very nice job of getting out of trouble.
Knowing where you are is so vital right there for Weaver. Some people wanted the points to go to Yore, but again, Weaver, the presence of mind to step out of bounds.
And Weaver's got to shoot, and there's another stalling call and a point for Jeff Yore to knot it at 4-all.
That'll buy him time into the overtime. Counting it down, final period, championship at 189. Stepping out of bounds, looks like overtime. It is.
2 minutes.
Again, Yore won his semifinal bout in overtime, 11-9.
He's been there, done that in the semifinals.
Again with a low single leg.
There he goes, trying to drive through it.
Got it. 2-point takedown for Jeff Yore.
Trailing 4-3 with 10 seconds to go. Got a stalling call, but time wins in overtime by a final of 6-4. Jeff Yore of Upper-Dauphin is the champion at 189 in what has been the more electrifying finish of the afternoon of the AA Parade of Champions. The awards at 171. Andrew Pavensky wins on a fall, but he trailed in this match 5-0 early to Steve Sinkovich of Mount Carmel. But again, like wrestling, you're never out of it until they say you are.
Andrew Pavensky got Steve Sinkovich in a nice cradle, just locked it up nice and slow, pulled him over with all the strength in the world, got the fall.
Time for the heavies at 275. Josh Pierce, he's out of District 10. Senior Commodore Perry undefeated at 36-0. Ryan Keller, he's out of District 11. He's a senior. Bill Krebs, his coach, he's 36-1.
Ryan Keller from Tri-Valley. He is in the left-hand side of your screen. And I don't believe they had an anklet quite large enough to fit around his ankle. So, but he will be on the red scoreboard. Josh Pierce from Commodore Perry wearing the green anklet, also in a black uniform with a red and white stripe diagonally across.
Let's hope they don't throw him near us. I can't bail out that quick. Mark, these two guys, yeah, they're heavy, but they're not out of shape. These guys, you can hear the ground rattle a little bit here.
No, once again, I'm amazed at the physique of these guys. And, Jim, you mentioned earlier that it's somewhat unusual to see sophomores or underclassmen wrestling at the state final level at these higher weights. And here we have Josh Pierce from District 10 and Ryan Keeler. These guys are both seniors. They're both veterans, and they're both very wily on the mat. So this will be a good one. These guys are going to use not only all their brawn and muscle, but a lot of experience comes onto this mat as well.
And both these guys are veterans, Mark. Ryan Keeler took third at 275 pounds last year. Josh Pierce placed second at 275 pounds last year. So they've been here before.
Team photo will be taken. So all team champions, all individual champions, please hang around for a team photo.
In last year's championships, Pierce beat Keeler 2-1 in a quarterfinal round.
Positioned themselves so that they would protect the wrestlers, so that the wrestlers would not fall off the mat onto this hard wooden floor. There is ice underneath this surface, so it is a very hard surface after you get off the mat. But the referees do a very good job in protecting the wrestlers, putting their body in between the wrestlers and this hard surface away from the mat.
Out of bounds they go, and there's your time remaining in the opening period. Still scoreless. Josh Pierce from Commodore Perry, a senior from District 10, and another District 11 hammer. Ryan Keller, Tri-Valley, 36-1.
Last year's championships, after that quarterfinal loss, Keeler battled through 4 rounds of consolations to place third. That is not an easy task.
Red to first, green down.
Back in 1995 state tournament, Keeler placed 6th at 275 pounds after losing a preliminary bout to Don Bainey of Port LaBeouf, District 10.
Right before the storm, now we're seeing a little bit of a flurry.
Pierce with a switch. Keeler just hanging on a leg at the moment. Just trying to ride out this situation and hope for a stalemate. And potentially dangerous.
You're down.
You can hear that the crowd didn't like that.
I think we've got an injury over there. They quickly jump over there. Make sure everybody's okay and everything's fine.
Back in 1995, Josh Pierce from Commodore Perry came in as a Northwestern runner-up, Northwestern regional runner-up at 189 pounds. He lost his preliminary bouts and did not place in that tournament.
Set.
Go ahead, Mark Shuey over Matt's side with us. Mark?
Ryan Keeler had his knee banged up. You can see the knee that he has the protective covering on, and he got that a little bit banged up in that illegal hold by Josh Pierce, and he wanted to take a little time to flex that out and work out the kinks, but he's right back at it. Ryan Keeler banged up his knee a little bit, but looking strong now.
Okay, right in front of us. Make sure that it ends there, Jim. That'll be fine.
You don't mind if I hide behind you, do you, Jet?
Oh. That is a mass of humanity right there to be looking at. Maybe, I'll tell you. Still 1-0.
A lot of these heavyweights do an awful lot of pushing and shoving. You'll see a little hesitation as far as shooting in on single legs and double leg takedowns like you would see commonly in the lower weights. Each one of these guys knows that if they extend themselves and get in underneath their opponent, he's coming down hard, and they're going to have a tough time trying to get out from under and get in good position if their shot is not a good one.
Underneath 30 seconds, as you can see, to go in the second period. Josh Pierce with the 1-0 lead. Still anybody's game.
And again, both these heavyweights just doing a lot of pushing and shoving.
Again, seem reluctant to try and get too aggressive, Jim, because you just don't want to try, get caught or give up something.
Pierce came into the tournament ranked first in the state. Keeler came into the tournament ranked second in the state.
And here they are, where everybody, I guess all the pundits thought they would be at the end of the weekend. Out of bounds they go. Go ahead, Mark.
As the third and final period began, I heard Coach Bob Parker, Commodore Perry, yell to his wrestler, Josh Pierce, Josh, 2 minutes of intensity. 2 minutes of intensity. And that looks like to be the strategy Josh Pierce will take on here in the third period. Pierce leading 1-0.
Again, not much scoring. It's not easy to turn one of these guys around, your opponent or the like.
No, it's not. A shoulder roll.
Okay.
A shoulder roll by Keeler gives him the escape and knotted it 1-all.
That was a nifty move by Keeler right there.
It sure was.
Rolled right out of there without a problem. Every point is precious, obviously, with it only 1-1.
A takedown
here in the
wins it.
third period.
Keeler in on a low single leg. Josh Pierce reaching over. And you can see the struggle. And he knows right where he is, very close to the edge of the mat. Hanging on for a stalemate.
Either one of these guys standing as offensive linemen, I think you'd have time to throw the football. Right now tied at 1 with just 50 seconds and change remaining. Championship in AA at 275.
Keeler with a sweeping single leg. Defended nicely by Pierce. Josh Pierce from Commodore Perry pinned his way into the finals. His semifinal bout was against Bob Sweeney, who was ranked 5th in the state from Bethlehem Center, District 7.
And that is the end of regulation right there, and we're going to have a 2-minute overtime. How many is that today for us in AA? Is this our 5th OT? 4th or 5th? 4th for sure that I know of. I think we've got 5. Maybe Mark's scorecard looks better than mine, somebody's. Terrible keeping score.
Takedown wins it. And again, stalling calls will loom large in this 2-minute overtime period. Referees do tend to be a little bit more lenient during the heavyweight matches about calling stalling. Keeler in on a single leg. He's got it up and under. Josh Pierce again just trying to hang on, trying not to give up any advantage and hope for a stalemate.
Referee's going to let him dig in a little bit.
Pierce still hanging on. No call made yet. You can see the struggling on these faces. And a stalemate situation.
There. Oh, and the crowd groans. 58 seconds remaining in overtime.
Ryan Keeler, the aggressor here in this overtime period so far.
Bob Parker saying, you got to dig in, give it everything you got, they go out of bounds.
Last champion for Commodore Perry was Fred Scriven back in 1994 at 189 pounds.
Digging underneath, trying to get that single leg in there, Jim.
Keeler again in on a single leg. Pierce again just reaching over the top, locking his hands.
Trying to turn him around a little bit. Oh, boy, he almost went over out of bounds. Wait a minute. Stalemate. Oh, my. That was close.
No takedown awarded as the two wrestlers went out of bounds. 17 seconds left. It looks like we're headed for a 30-second double overtime period again, Tim.
Yeah, that would be the second one today in AA, and that's exactly what's going on. Again, to clarify the rules of this 30-second period, they're not real subtle here.
The wrestler that gets his choice can either take top or bottom. He takes the bottom position and he escapes. He's the winner. He takes the top position and he rides his opponent out. He's the winner. So somebody wins and somebody loses in this 30-second double overtime period.
They count the clock down.
Okay, Bill. Set.
There we go. He's trying to escape. Check him down.
Remember that the intent of the top wrestler in this overtime period is really just to hang on. He's not really required to go for back points. So you can stall, basically.
He's still hanging on.
And Keeler hanging on. Last couple of seconds. And that's going to be it.
Crowd roars with approval there.
Ryan Keeler, Tri-Valley state champion at heavyweight on the double overtime rideout.
Let's go to the awards at 189.
And I'm sure that everybody's going to be looking at the tape of this match because there was that takedown call awarded to Jeff Fuhrer right on the edge of the mat. That helped him out a lot in his 6-4 triumph at 189 pounds.
So the first ever champ from Upper Dauphin is in the book. Jeff Fuhrer.